Maybe that's it. Is this the one? We've got a go live button on there. Can anyone see me? Am I on yet? Any luck? It's got to be working. It must be working. 1 2 1 2. Right, hello and welcome to the show, the Be Me show, the Be You show. So we finally got on. Everything takes a little bit of a time here. It's got such a lag to it, it's unbelievable. So we're all good to go. I thought I'd do a show tonight talking about questions. Everybody's got questions. And I remember, being on TV and going through my own personal journey. It was always about, I had loads of questions, but I never had the answers to it. And when I was working on the TV, there was only so many questions people was asking. So tonight we're going to just let everybody know that it's up to you. It's your show, and I shall do my best to answer them questions. If I can't answer them, I won't answer them in a sense, and I'll tell you I cannot answer that question because it's only if it's gone through my experience. But we got loads of questions. What is spirituality? Who is me? Who is somebody? What is the world all about? What does life mean? How do you find love? What is love? What is consciousness? What is compassion? What is understanding and mastering the mind? There's so many questions. And sometimes we used to think, my God, why can't my mind make up my mind about these questions? So in the dark night of the soul, because we'll always go back to the dark night of the soul, the dark night of the soul has thousands and thousands of questions. Questions I didn't even know existed. That's the difference between the normal life and the dark night of the soul. And even when you reach a certain level of enlightenment, there are so many questions, but not so many once you get to that enlightenment. So it's all up to you. What's your question? We'll see what we can do. Hi, everyone. I'll just go through a few of these because it's starting to become a little bit more of a, let's put live chat up on there. Otherwise, Double E will really have a go at me. Right, okay, so let's say hello to everybody. We have... Hi, Double E. Right, CG, loud and clear from Sydney, Australia. Beautiful. Hi, Trevor and Double E, how are you today? We're all great. Right, so we've got Kayla Marie. Dude, I'm such a huge fan. Huge fan. Trevor, God bless you. I went through a deep, dark night of the soul, the year of 2022. Your videos on that were the best and most insightful, I thought. Most insightful. I thought I nearly lost my mind. In some sense, Kayla, in the truth of it, really, I think we are supposed to lose our mind and then rebuild another mind. I think the mind that we are so used to has a certain vocabulary to it. But what I discovered is when you're sort of losing your mind and you're arguing with the mind, and it's going all, it's getting all very confused. It doesn't know what to do. It's all over the place. I think that for me was like a dying of the programming. It's like your computer. As I always say, it's like your computer, because I believe that we are some sort of computer intelligence. And once you start losing your mind, I think you're meant to lose a certain amount of it and then regain back and then fill your mind up with a completely different story or a completely different awareness. And of course, you was going through that and you listened to my YouTubes, and I think the way that I explained it is the way that I would have liked it to be explained to me when I was losing my mind. But of course, them people didn't exist. So I'm glad you really liked them, because I think there was a lifesaver for a lot of people. A lot of people will always turn around and say, you changed my life or you saved my life. And, it can't be better than that, can it? Because that's what I needed at that particular time when I was going crazy. Kayla, till I watched your video, it was one of your videos especially I watched. It's crazy, I swear, because I did feel everything you said from the beginning to the end. And I think that is definitely it. I love your necklace too. I love my necklace. This is a necklace. Obviously my name is Trevor Ilesley, and this crystal came up, and it's TI. I didn't make it. That's the way that it was. And the most interesting thing about it is that's my signature. That's how I do my T's. Cross the T's and dot the I. So when I got that, I was just over the moon. It was just so meant to be. I wouldn't have expected there is another one of them. How did you get back to remember yourself? We're talking about, right, hold up, ancient Greeks called it metanoi, an altered mind. Yeah, an altered mind. Right, okay, let's go back. I love your necklace. Right. Trevor, I honour how you help the people that understand your perspective on an open-minded to these things. It is being open-minded, and it's changing the mind. Zantsu says, how did you get back to remember yourself? Is that this self or the other self? This self. Right, let's start again. Old self, trying to get to remember that, or do you think the spiritual self, the one that came here with everything? It was a process, and it was a very long process. The story gets weird because your mind starts changing. As I've said, I do a lot of writing in the way of questions and answers. That's why today it's all about questions and answers. Most of my YouTubes are going to be about that now, questions and answers. And so therefore, I couldn't believe that in my human state of mind, I found myself, as I've said, not wanting to be here, not wanting to be alive. I just didn't fit in anymore, which was crazy for me because I fitted in no matter where I went. But I kind of lost who I used to be. And it was a series and a process of that my mind was saying things and wanting me to do things and wanting me to go places that, I've never been before. And it just started writing all this amazing stuff. And over a period of time, bit at a time started to happen. So I had to go through the process first of healing the broken human that I was. And that's where the Be Me steps got formulated. That's, balance my ego, balance my emotions, become mindfully empty. So all of this stuff started coming in literally 3 words. And that's what built Be Me. And then as I started going through the codes and it started to evolve, I had different dreams, I saw different visions, there was many ghost visitations, and it was all pointing to me being a completely different being. And I used to look in and I think, wow, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm going through this. I don't know why I'm writing this stuff. But the more the Trevor in me was battling to try and understand what was going on, I had to resolve it, and I had to try to let it go, to let the true self come through. That's why you'll hear me say, find the true self, feel the true self, and be the true self. That is the truth of, I believe, of everyone's journey. If you're a seeker, then you're trying to find the true self. It's not about finding spirituality. This is a place where I'm going to teach you to try and understand that there is another you, as there is another me. And as I say, the human programming is a false reality that's got you to believe that you are a human being and this is what you're meant to do and this is how you're meant to do it. Of course, you've got that material world that you have to sort of live in. But when all of this information started to come in and then my soul started to upload all of this information, I didn't know I was a healer. I didn't know I was going to become a teacher. I didn't know I was going to become a speaker. I didn't know I was going to become a medium and a psychic, and I didn't know I was going to be on TV. None of this stuff was in the plans. So the world or the world of people that are depressed, they're at that door. Beamism for me is when I stepped through that door, and then the soul started to communicate with me, because you need to understand your emotions. You've got to get out of the way to connect into the true essence of your soul, as I have done. And that's why I try to make it as simple as I possibly can, which means I explain about relationships, I explain about life, I explain about the dark night of the soul, and then I explain about healing and consciousness and mastering the mind. There's the 3 steps. So that's finding the true self, feeling the true self, and then being the true self. In your human story, what are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to find out who you are. You could be your job, you could be a mother, you could be a father. You know, you have to have an identity, don't you, to find your place in the world. And then when you go through the dark night of the soul, it's all about feeling, because the doingness of the human life, well, that's gone. So then you're going to feel the true self. So you go through all of these amounts of feelings, and a lot of them, of course, are connected to being called a human being. Human being has many feelings, it has many emotions, and them emotions are used against us and against others. When we get into situations, we start reacting. But look at the word again, reacting. That's why it's called reacting, because we are reacting. Everything you go through, don't you find that you're doing the same thing over and over again, right round the years? Have you not worked out that you're doing certain things in January and February and March, then you're doing something different in the rest of the months, and you start to get to know what your pattern is. Once you know that loop, and you say to yourself that this has got to change, I need to change the way that I think about life. And it's an initiation. And I truly believe it is an initiation. It's like a little game. You know, you can't move on to the next piece of the board until you've thrown a double 6, let's say. Once you start connecting in with your soul, and you start asking your soul really important questions, not stupid questions, it doesn't want to know. Once you start asking important questions, your soul guides you to certain things. And have you ever had the synchronicities? That's weird, that's strange. Why did they say that? Them people, them situations, them synchronicities are your answers from what you would say is the divine. We are all divine in nature, which means we are creative beings. We are quite loving beings. We are compassionate beings, and we are healers, because the very and the most important thing that is missing from the planet are the healers. So when we look at the healers, there's healers that are doing amazing things. And back in the day, healing used to be a little bit too over the top. It used to be a little bit too much. But now what's happening is, as we're growing and we're evolving into the true self, which is find the true self, that's when you start to understand that you have the power and the gift to be able to heal yourself. The human side of you will tell you you're an idiot, though. And many people will also tell you that you're an idiot and it's never going to happen and you can't do it and it's impossible. But I will say to any of you out there, you don't know until you try. So when I was getting all the healing information that was coming through and the human side of me started to disappear, that's when the true self started to come through. And then I was given opportunities, as in synchronicities, to see whether or not I could heal somebody. And it was very strange how it sort of turned up. But at first I was sort of saying no. I sort of said to myself, no, I'm not going to make myself look silly. I'm not going to humiliate myself. But then I used to snap out of that very quickly and say, no, I'm going to have a go. I'm going to try, because I think this person's been put in front of me to literally try. And that's how I started. I started doing these healings, which I thought was really amazing. And if I was to tell you about the healings, some of them I mentioned, but now we're live now. So it's whether or not I decide to speak about the healings that I've done. But one that's come into mind, so it's in my mind, so I'm going to talk to you about it. It was a girl. We opened up this little shop, and it was like a little witchy shop. It had all these sacred things in, and wands and lanterns and incense and all of these things. And it literally was in like this shed that was built up on mushrooms. And I think back in the day it was a storehouse. It was a lovely little thing. Anyway, we decked it out and made it look like this lovely little spiritual shop. And this woman came in and she had her child with her, and the child was on, child, must have been about 15 years old. And she was on crutches, so being Trev, I just would sort of say, oh, what's the matter with you? What you done? Been skiing? Have you hurt yourself and all of that? So the mum started to talk to me, and she said she's in terrible pain. We've literally been everywhere. We've been to the doctors, we've had scans, we've gone to private hospitals, we've gone to even Chinese remedies, she's had acupuncture, she's literally had everything. This is the first day she's kind of been out for so many months because she's in dreadful pain. And I could see the young girl was in a lot of pain. And so literally my mind would turn around and say, well, why don't you heal her? And of course your mind's going to say, shut up, let's not show myself up here. But again, I saw it as an opportunity, and I thought, listen, I've got nothing to lose. So she could see that I was of a spiritual nature because of the posters that I had up there, and there were bits and pieces about me being on TV. So I said, do you mind if I try and have a go and see if I could heal her? But I think that woman, the mum, was at her wit's end, So she agreed. The young girl agreed, because you must make sure that they sort of agree. So she was standing there. I said, I'm just going to touch your legs. So I just literally put the fingertips, and this is going to sound like a joke, really, but honestly, this is the gospel truth. So I thought, let's have a go. So I put my hands on the bottom of on her ankles, right? And as I was put my hands on her ankles like that, for some strange reason, I could see the colour come back into her legs. So for some strange reason, she must have had, I don't know if it was a blood flow or there was a lack of blood going into the legs or something, but I literally saw them go from a pale white, and I just watched the blood go back into these legs, through up to the top of her leg sort of thing. Literally, I did it for about 5 minutes, no more. It doesn't take that long to do healings. You don't have half an hours and hours and things like that. I can literally do it in 5-10 minutes. And so I said, how do you feel? She went, she said, she didn't know how to speak. She was like, wow. She said, he's gone. I said, really? I said, give us your crutches. That's just like a Jesus story, isn't it? But I think Jesus was telling us we can all heal. So I said, walk up and down. Go see how you get on. She was walking up and down, and I said, what? Anything? She went, completely healed. Completely healed. So didn't even use the crutches. Now, do I have a special talent? Have I got a special gift? I think not. But what I do think is this. I think we've all got that hidden talent, but we don't use it. And I think we've all got that gift, because I didn't learn anything from anyone. I didn't study some ancient form of Egyptian healing or any of that stuff. Back in the day, back in their ancestral life, I think they did. But I just had a go. And that's what I'm saying to you people. It's like if your child is sick, if there's something going on there, it's just try it, and you use your energy, and you just put energy into them. That's all we are. We are energy, frequency, vibration beings. But never do this. Never plead that something that you're going to heal. And don't feel humiliated if nothing happens. It's just it's something that you're going to try. If it doesn't happen, then there's something there that is not meant to happen. But I've had 100% success rate on people that I've healed just by having a go. And to this day, it astounds me. There's nothing I need to do other than offer. I think the next part of it is called intent. And then I think because of my beamy self-awareness, which means it's done from pure of heart, that I'm willing to try and see whether or not this can be healed. And it can heal. So if your child's got a headache, or someone in the family's got a headache, or a stomach ache, or anything like that, I mean, PMT. I was going to open up a shop just called PMT, right? Because I think I would be busy every month, right? And being a hairdresser, of course, I worked with a lot of women. And, you know, staff used to come in, and it just seemed like if one had PMT, it seemed like they all had PMT. It seemed like they was all kind of connected, which is another strange phenomena that sort of happens. But there was. And so I said, come here. I said, let me do some healing. One hand on the front, one hand on the back. I don't do no more than that. And the interesting thing about this, because the PMT is like, well, it's a natural thing, isn't it? It's what the body does. I mean, I don't experience it, obviously. But it's a natural thing for a woman to go through that every month. And so I put my hand there and I put my hand there. Now, this is what I do. As I'm moving my hand towards the person, I wind in energy. Listen, a winding energy. What am I doing as I'm winding in the energy? I'm gathering energy. I'm gathering life force energy. And I'm swirling it. So you know when if you, like a tornado, what is it doing? It's like, it's a swirl, isn't it? So all the elements are coming together, all the dust and everything that's in the air. And you're swirling it and you're swirling it. And of course, we have a tornado. And so therefore, in my mind, I thought, well, I'm going to create a tornado of energy. And as I'm creating that energy, I'm sort of moving to the body, and then I come into the body, don't have to touch the body really, and I just leave it there. And what you'll notice is, or what happens with me is, these palms start to vibrate at an incredible rate, and it pulses. It's almost like what's the things the whales have got, the sonar. It's like a sonar that comes out. It goes do 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 do. Like, it doesn't make that noise, but it's like a sonar energy. And so therefore I wind it in, and then I let it simmer, and then what I do is I wind it back out. I wind it back in, and then I wind it back out. An interesting thing about it is, once I put my hand towards the pain, now this is the interesting thing, the pain that the girl was experiencing in the pit of her stomach slid round to the side. And she went to me, she went, that's weird. I said, what? She went, the pain's just moved to the side. I went, you're joking. I said, it's trying to avoid my healing. She went, well, that's weird. She said, I've never felt pain shift like that, she said. So I said, right, where is it? She said, there. I said, right. So I put my hand on it again, and it shifted back round again. I thought, right, okay, this is having a laugh with me. But I laughed because I found it very interesting to the fact that the naturalness of the body was saying, no, we don't want this healed. This is a part of the process that they have to go through every month sort of thing. Anyway, I managed to grasp the pain and took it out. And then you just get them turn around and say, oh my God, you know, the pain. And the look on people's faces when you do a healing like that is like somebody that's doing a magic trick. And they're right in front of you, and they've got the cards right in front of you, and there's 4 kings, right? And you can see them. You're this close to the 4 kings. And it goes like that, and it's like 4 aces. You know that look on people's faces when they go, how on earth did you just do that? That's what happens when I do a healing on people. That's the very look. And it took me a little bit of time to understand that look, and I didn't get it. And it was almost like a look of confusion. It was a look of what on earth's just happened. It was a look of I can't think of the words at the moment, but it was just a strange look. And I used to think, oh, I expected a different look to that. But then it took me some time, and I was actually watching a magic program, and they was doing loads of magic tricks, and I was watching the people's faces, and I went, that's the look on people's face when I do a healing. And the reason why they can't understand it is because the human mind can't work out what's just happened. It's the same with the trick. The human mind can't work out what's just happened. It takes time for it to try. What's just happened? It's like seeing a ghost. You know, you sort of think, what's just happened? And you've got no answer to it. It confuses the circuitry in the brain. And that is how healing kind of works. It's an incredible phenomenon. And you can all do it. I hope you can all do it. And I reckon you can do it. And I think we should all be doing it. Right, let's go back on his. Right, right, where are we? Right, how did you get back to remember yourself? I was so depressed, I didn't get up out of bed, etc., etc. And I'm barely 20. Trevor, you helped me strongly with that year, truly. 20 is a tough age, you know. Me to Trevor, truly. 20 is a tough age, I think, because you're going into the world and you're trying to find yourself. I'm sorry you and I strongly share a similar experience. I'm glad the Lord allows people to be strong enough internally and psychologically, etc., to be able to bring such knowledge to the forefront for people. That's how I be feeling. I don't know what SMH means, a lot, and people around me, my family, they be thinking I'm weird now. It's hard to be my full authentic self. It's hard to be your full authentic self around the people that you know. It's a very difficult one. You have to play it a little bit. Zantsu, thank you. Did you have a feeling that you are just kind of floating in at soul level? Yes. I think I'm at a stage of realizing more of me, but I don't know, a bit confused with it feeling like just floating. Yeah, if I remember rightly, yeah, there is a sense of a floating moment. There's almost a sense of a vagueness to it all. There's a sense of have a check on this, the floatingness or the emptiness or the light feelingness comes when we start to work on our emotions. Because don't forget, emotions are very, very heavy. And that's what happens with people when we're depressed. We get so many emotions, we get burdened by them emotions, and then it kind of weighs us down. That hence why Kayla said, you know, you can't get out of bed, because the emotions are very, very heavy. And you wouldn't think that, would you? I never thought that something like emotions would be so crippling. But it is true, they're so heavy. And that's why I say, you know, you go into your emotions and you try to lighten the load. And the more you lighten the load, which means you start to heal your emotions, because you turn around and say to yourself, I've got to do something about this. I've got to find out why my body is representing so much pain, and always represent the body as where is the pain. Once you understand where that pain is, then you can work it out on the chakra system. If it's, you know, below the heart, you can guarantee that that's your the moment you was born up until where you are. The second part of your awareness and where the floatingness may come from, as you start edging towards the heart center and you start coming away from your heaviness of your emotions, you start to lighten. You start to lighten up. That's enlightenment, because you're going up. And as you go up into the fourth chakra, which is your heart, obviously, that's your loving center. Your loving center starts to get activated because you have worked on your first three chakra points, which is all about your human self. And that's where the heaviness can come from. So yeah, you will go through a lot of very strange things. Because what's happening is because you're starting to run more freely. You're starting to be more clear. And in a sense, you're coming away from the emotional baggage that we've been keeping within us. And so therefore, as you lighten up, you start raising up your own levels of consciousness. And then once it starts to reach up into the 6, then that's where all the knowledge starts to come in. That's when you start filling yourself up with different knowledge, different information, intelligent information. So yeah, you will go through many things as you awaken to your soul. Right, Kayla, I'm so intrigued by a lot of what you speak about, as well as a lot of other things. I would love to email you, Trevor, if I could. I can only type in the comments certain amounts of words. Don't send big emails, I won't read them. So I'll warn you now. I'm not that good at reading, and when I start reading, I'll go through the first sentence and the second sentence. If it starts to get into my mind, it doesn't go no further. So I would keep it like this if I was you. Kayla, I love this. That's beautiful, don't you think? The Lord does let those who have such gifts through me gives that authority to, if it makes sense. Right, that's great if you know the Lord. I have felt like I've been just floating before they can, in my perspective, stand through a lot truly, but mainly one reason you could feel that is because maybe you're not really living but surviving. You're always surviving in the material world. Everyone is trying to survive in that material world. But when you get into the soul level, that's a total different survival mechanism. It doesn't almost want to survive in that material world. It wants to survive in the world that it's come here to do, and that is a completely different thing. There's the outer world and then there's the inner world, and they are two completely different worlds. And your inner world can be very destructive. That's the human world still. But again, once we get rid of that, then that's where you find the true self, and then that is a whole new kingdom. That's a whole new world. It's a whole new set of tricks, if you like. It's completely different. I will be open to doing that, but I wanted to email him to ask him personally 2 questions truly. But he's talking about knowledge, so I'm just taking in what he's saying as if it's right now. Just keep them short. Just keep it short. Yeah, I've just warned you now. Just keep it short, and that'll be okay. You're right, Trevor. I think in your videos you had mentioned something about the soul trying to save you. Yeah, your soul. You're saving your soul. Your soul is so buried beneath it all. You're saving your soul, and your soul is saving you. It becomes a partnership. And again, see, my soul has come with all this information. It's been laying dormant. It's like finding the treasure amongst, there's a true saying, isn't there? There's gold in, what is it? Oh God, I've lost it now. There's gold in the shit. I think it's something like that. A scrap metal merchant will tell you that. In the shit, there's gold, which means people's rubbish I earn a lot of money from, so that's the gold in it. And it's the same with yourself. We walk around with so much rubbish within ourselves that we think that rubbish is real. We think it's true. We think that's what we should be doing. And sometimes we think that's the stuff that we should be putting up with. But when you start to stand in your own power, you'll realise that the stuff you've been putting up with, oh no, you wasn't meant to be putting up with any of it. Being spiritual or being me is about standing in your own power and feeling that power that is within you, because it's your story, it's your journey, it's your life, and this is it. Sometimes we have to step out of the box, because if we keep staying in the box and doing what everyone else does, before you know it, life is over. And it goes so quick. So these things that I talk about, it's like, you're 20, you say, Kayla. I mean, if you get it, then you can spend the rest of your life sort of being enlightened. For me, it didn't start until around 40 years old. So that was a tougher time. So that meant I had sort of 40 years of undoing, of trying to go back to the core of who I am. But you're 20. What you got to do is that you need to go back to the core of who you are, and that's only 20 years. Go back and find out whether or not you had any spiritual memories or things that you thought were spirit, as in a way of your own personal ghost, let's say, your own personal spirit that used to look after you, or your own connection or your own visions. They could have been around, you know, sort of being 4, 5, 6 years old. That's what it means to go back to that sort of beginning. And then when you get to the level where I've got to, you then go back beyond that, and then the dark night of the soul is taking you back into the womb. That's why it's the darkness of it all. And then from the womb you can go back even more than that, and then that's when you find yourself in a completely different world. And that's the world that you sort of know, or that's the world that I knew that I kind of came from. So I travelled back to the journey. I'm not working this life and then dying and going to that journey. Healing is about going back to the source, not towards the source. So we go back to the source, we pick up who we are, we play around in this earth realm, and then we move forward onto our spirit world. Because I always sort of say it's all about understanding your spirit. We spend a lot of time trying to understand the spirit of, you know, but I think the most important thing is, one, connecting in with your own soul and connecting in with your own spirit. You know, your soul is, for me, the difference of it being is like this. The soul is what's here, that's in this body, that's working this body, that's doing all of these things and everything else. And once we kind of leave this, that's our spirit. It transfers into its spirit, because we don't have that body anymore. So the soul and spirit are really one. But there is also a connection of that spirit that is connected to the soul, because we've left a certain amount of spirit in that realm, and that soul communicates still to that spirit, and that spirit connects back into the soul. The soul then connects into me to get the message. If I don't get the message, someone will speak it, or something will happen on the outside world and say, that's weird, that's strange. That's a message to a question that I'd put out. And you can really see the universe, or whoever you want to call it, answering back your questions. And it can almost be instantly. In our human life, we're always asking for a message, aren't we? Everyone's asking for a sign. I mean, how many religions out there would love a sign or a message from one of their gods or guides or anything like that? They would love it. Do they get their answers? I was just lucky. I got an answer, and that became beamism. Right, thank you, Trevor. We'll mail a new advice. I will keep it as simple for you and be as clear as I can be for you to be able to understand me. Feels like, right, Zansu says, feels like you don't belong to this world, but bouncing between inner and this world. It does feel like that. That's you're saying, isn't it? It feels like you don't belong to this world. That's true. That's the false reality. Your soul is telling you we don't really belong to this world. But what it's saying to you is that the way we've been programmed, it doesn't belong to this world. Once you get rid of that program, you can belong to this world, but you're not stuck using that programming. So what you'll find is there is a bouncing between the two different worlds. That again is an initiation, because when you get to this point where you've got one foot in the material world, you've got this one foot that's in the what you would say is the spirit realm, right? That leaves you in the middle. And for anyone that's gone through the dark night of the soul, truly, you've got this battle that's going on, that is a battle that's going on between two, say, levels of consciousness. And I remember sort of standing back in the middle of it and just seemingly see these two opposing forces battling to who was right, who was wrong, who was true, what was illusion, what was the truth. And so therefore you live a life thinking that the human life is true, it's real, and that this spiritual stuff is nonsense. So what happens is that you test, And you're treading between the two pathways here, because that's why they say the pathway. And I'll tell you why the pathway's narrow. So you've got these two pathways. Well, is it this or is it that? Is that materially happening? Or is there a spiritual connotation behind what's happening in this material world? And there is. 100% there is. What is happening in your material world can all be connected spiritually and soulfully. But if you're just materially human, you only see it as that. So what you're doing is that there will be a shift in energy. You'll feel it shift. I used to feel mine shift. When I'm Trevor Ilesley, I'm Trevor Ilesley. When I'm Emberkey, let's say I'm Emberkey, I'm Emberkey. It's like I'm Trevor Ilesley, I'm Emberkey. And it's like, oh my Lord, am I human? Am I spiritual? Am I you? So it got to a point where I had to make up my mind. But both brought a different feeling. And I liked the spiritual feeling more than I did with the human one. So this is what I did. Be Me is a process that's taken me a long time to understand both, but be neither. And then I came down the middle pathway. That's why the pathway is narrow, because there's a lot going on in the material world. There's a lot that's going on in the spirit world. All the things that are spiritual, seen and unseen. So I took the middle pathway, and that became the Be Me. So I wasn't in that realm, I wasn't in this realm, I was in my realm. And that is the power and the gift of being in control of oneself. It's your world. Okay, feels like you don't belong in this world. Absolutely. Right, okay, let's go on. You're so inspiring to me. I want to know more about you truly. It's a lot of my videos. I don't know how many of you watch, but it definitely is all on there. I poured my heart out. Liza, Trevor, I've heard the spirit communicates with the soul via the 7th and 8th chakras. Yes, it's a ladder. I call it the Be Me ladder of truth. It's the body, mind, energy ladder of truth. Be Me lot. We talk about the chakras, and there's got all these fancy words with it, all these spinning wheels and spinning lights and spinning serpents and all these God-forsaken names, right? It gives it this mystical thing. Mine, because I like to keep things real, it's just a ladder. You can see the window cleaner using a ladder, right? Everyone knows what a ladder is, but do you know what it means to have a serpent coiled up and moving through your body and the spinning wheels of light in each chakras and all of these things? No, of course you don't. You've never seen it. I've seen a ladder, and I've used a ladder many, many times. And so therefore, for me, bringing through my spirituality, it had to be made simple. And that's what I love about what I do. So I just use it as a ladder. I know when I'm down the ladder. I know when I'm up the ladder. That also goes back to the living in the two worlds. Lower self, bottom rungs of the ladder. Higher self, the top rungs of the ladder. That may even be the real meaning behind Jacob's ladder. And I'll say it just as that because I don't know the story anyway. It just came into mind. And that's where I think Jacob saw angels descending and ascending. So I use it as a ladder. And what happens is this. God, am I talking too fast? I seem like I'm channeling a million miles an hour. I'm going to slow down a little bit. Right, take a breath, Trev. Breathe, Trev. So, understanding when you're getting messages from that realm, it will filter through. It comes in from the 8th, drops into the 7, drops into the 6. Now it's into the mind, right? It's into your 6th chakra, right? That gives you the thoughts. It's like, well, that's weird. Why am I thinking that? Well, why did I just see that? See, then that just now slipped down into the 5th because now you're communicating to something that just happened into the 6th. So you're communicating now on the 5th. And then when you're communicating on the 5th, you then start to feel it. So now you're slipping down into the 4th, right? So it gets fed in through the top and comes through your system. And it's like this, and it works like this. When people turn around and say, God, I thought I had it. Oh, no, I've not. Well, I thought I had it. Oh, no, I've not. And that's when it comes in through your consciousness drops into your own levels of consciousness, makes you aware of it, and then slips down the ladder and goes to the point of contact of where it's meant to be sitting. So you may get that message that comes in from that spirit realm. It'll pass through to your system, and it might connect to you in your third chakra. So therefore you think you've lost the connection. No, the message is in your third chakra point. So whatever healing needs to be done is in the third chakra, and that's where that information is sitting. Give it some time and it will be shown to you, and you'll get a ha-ha moment. It's like, oh my God, that vision or that feeling, that answer that came in, I've just found out what it means. So you're like a detective. Don't forget, I like to see things like this. I didn't see it like this, but I see it like it now. I see myself as like a reporter. I see things that are happening, and I sort of and I report. I'm sort of writing down what's happening on planet Earth, and I'm writing down how planet Earth makes me feel. I'm writing down every scenario, situation that I've ever been through, and I'm reporting, and I'm putting it into a journal, and that journal is being connected into my DNA, right? So my soul can access that DNA. The creator can access that DNA because it's a data bank. So if you put stuff in that you're reporting about what life is and how it works and all of these things, that's a story, right? Because you're a reporter, right? You're writing a story. You're trying to find the truth. And then when I go back into the spirit world, that can all be accessed because it's been documented. So if we live a life of being the human being where we're only documenting our own fears and our own emotions and our own pains, then that's what we're documenting. That's what we're filling ourselves up. We're not reporting. Reporting is when you find out what's wrong, and then you find out what is the meaning of it, what caused it, and who's telling the truth, where did it come from, who's lying. That's what a reporter does, like a journalist. What is a journal? You write in a journal, don't you? Well, this whole body is a journal, and that's the Be Me journal. That's your story. So, yes. Right. Okay, right. Iris. Hi, Iris. I think you're new to the channel. Right. So, Lizzie, yeah, I've heard the spirit communicates via the soul, via the seventh. Yeah, it does. Listen, I didn't know all about this stuff. This was stuff that I knew. It's not stuff I've read, because mine's new. It's completely different. It's Western. It's wearable. It's approachable. It's easy. It's just Western, because there's no sort of Western spirituality, not in England anyway. We've nicked everything. So yeah, once you find it for yourself, as I found it for myself, which I think was brilliant, I think everyone can do that. So you've got to learn from your own book. You've got to learn from your own education, right? Because you're learning about the human being. You're learning about yourself first. That's called life. You learn about what is your perception, what is your abilities, but can you transcend them abilities? And of course, that you can. Iris. Hi, Iris. What do you think of the orbs, not the drones, appearing all around the world these days? Orbs are a fascination. For some strange reason, they've become more popular. I've seen loads. You'd see. Right. I just had a memory that I was out in the garden and I got someone to video me, right? Was it videoing or photographing? Either one, probably both. I was out in the garden and it was late at night. Done a little bit of meditation, don't take long, just find myself straight away. And then just watched all these orbs just coming in because I was calling them in. Impossible, right? No, it's not impossible. I've seen it and it's been witnessed that it can be done. And when I say orbs, I mean hundreds and hundreds of orbs coming into my calling, because we can do that. And then I've seen, you know, you get photographs, or I photograph people. I can see orbs, because I'm a photographer as well, and I've captured orbs around certain people coming in, or they move. And then I know people where they'll turn around and say, oh, there's a blue orb heading towards you. I can't see it, but she can see him. So she says there's the blue orb. And so she quickly grabs a camera, clicks it, captures it. So it's strange, isn't it? They either happen or they don't. But when you again become attuned, they start happening. And her gift was like seeing it when I can't see it. So quickly grabbing the camera, taking a photograph, looking at it and going, there it is. I told you there was a blue orb around you. And then I had two very ginormous orbs, and I never found the answer to them. I don't know what they are, but to me they was a pair, and they moved as a pair, and they were separate as a pair. But I'm talking like this size, and brilliant, bright, not like an orb that's see-through. These lit up the room, sort of like orbs. And I told the story, but I'll tell the story again. I was asleep, and I felt this light come through my eyelids. I kind of awakened from my sleep. I looked up on the ceiling, and there was these two massive lights, almost as bright as your car headlights on full beam. They're that bright, right? And as I've awakened my eyes and I'm seeing them, and all of a sudden they shot off, and they shot off through into the other room, and I just shrieked, because I was already going through a lot of spiritual stuff that was driving me mad and crazy in the first place. And I screamed at them, demanded that they came back into the room and showed themselves again. And again, they did. They came back into the room, and they hovered above me, and they was there for a good minute or so, and then they just flew off as quick as a spaceship. You know, when it's there, it's gone. But I, just went off into the other room, sort of thing. So yeah, I truly believe in a lot of orbs. To me, I think it's a lot to do with the spirit, because don't forget, when you turn into a spirit, right, you've got no body. You're talking energy. You're talking vibration, right? So we can manipulate that energy to form. It's like, I don't know. I suppose it's like if you smoke and you blew a smoke ring. You know, you've blown a smoke ring, and you've taken that smoke and transformed it into a circle of smoke. That smoke kind of almost like represents the spirit to me. It's malleable, it's pliable, it can do whatever it wants. And then when it wants to manifest itself as an image, because that's why they're see-through, a lot of them are see-through, some of them be quite solid, but the majority of the time they are see-through, aren't they? It's because of that manipulation of energy. So yeah, I truly believe that they are very much connected into that spirit. I think that, again, it's, do we get anything from them? A lot of people say it's due to cameras and things like that, or it could be dust, but I've gone beyond that saying. But I've got my version of it. I truly believe that it works like this. When we look at space, we believe there's nothing in that space. 5 sense realm, our 5 sense senses, tells us there's a distance between me and, let's say, that camera, right? And even in outer space, they would say, well, there's a distance between that planet, and there's nothing in between. But of course, the more our telescopes become more powerful, they pick up different like infrareds and different frequencies. We start to see other things, and then we start to notice that no, from here to there is not empty space. There is something always in that space. And I think that's where you'll find that spirit is. That's where the orbs are all connected to. Because there's no such thing really as an empty space. There's something in the space. But we're only just starting to learn how to measure that. Because we still haven't got to the point now in outer space. We still can't measure dark energy and dark matter. We can't, not dark matter, we don't know what the black stuff is. We can't measure it. There's no measurement for it. Okay. Keep fighting the good fight with faith. I'll pray the Lord brings you out of your darkness. Remember this, though, God makes the greatest strength for people when... Oh, where's that gone? Right, where's that slipped? Right, I've lost that. Right, I've lost that one. Darkness. God makes the greatest strength for people when they're in the dark and feeling weakness. Ask yourself this question. Did God put you in that darkness? Just sit with that for a little bit and see if God actually put you in that. And then you're asking God to sort of like get you out of that. So that's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? About who's and what. But when you start to understand that you are part of that God and that God is within you, then that's in you. So there's a whole new different story that's going on with that one. Right, Kamoon, 8:30. I studied Reiki healing to learn more about the chakras. Yes. How did you get on with that? Do you create miracles? In my, yes. Reiki. A lot of people didn't understand Reiki, even though it had been going for, I think it's about 150 years now, isn't it? But when I started talking about Reiki and things like that, and people was like, I don't get it. I don't get what you're talking about. But that was, you know, it became more popular over the last, say, 30 years, that it became grabbed into society a little bit. So again, that's another, see, my system is the Embaki system, it's the artist system. So the Reiki system became this new thing on healing. So what did you learn about it? What did you get from it? Did you become a practitioner? Did you get your diplomas? Did you get your masters? Let me know, Common. Rayita Wagster, thank you, Trevor. Welcome to the show, Rayita. Right, doubly, what's she saying? If you can deal with the physical pain, the others will lift. Being in pain is depressing. I've been there too. Pain is a killer. Hi, Dino. Nice jacket. Trev looks like an Anthony Price jacket. It's funny you should say that. Price is my family's name. Price. I don't know who Anthony Price is. Unless that's a Canadian thing, some designer or something. Thank you anyway, Dino. David Smith. Hi, David. Play Trevor. David here from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Still love to see you on YouTube. Inner knowing. Thank you for all that you do. David Smith, do you know my family set up New Hampshire? My family jumped on the boat from here in Portsmouth. Right, is there a Portsmouth then in New Hampshire? Because Portsmouth's not far from me, right? And we grabbed a boat back in 1600s. I found the boat list. I found the passenger list. And my family's name was on there. And somewhere down over there, David, there's a stone monument. And it's got my family's name on it as one of the founders or the creators of New Hampshire. Because I live in Hampshire now. So when we left here back in the 1600s, we created New Hampshire. That's interesting, isn't it? So somewhere along the line, and here's another thing that's very interesting as well. I mean, the girl that I live here with, her family was also on the passenger boat list. So how weird is that me and her are on the passenger boat list 500 years ago, 600 years ago, whatever it is. Don't you find that strange? Don't you find that weird? But that's the soul. That's the soul's journey. When you start to realise who you are with and why you are with, that's not just a relationship. It's a soul's relationship, which means your families have been connected before in a different time. And that's the truth, and it's documented proof, and I got the facts for it all. That blew my mind, and that was another part of the story. Thanks, David. Right, I'll get an invite then to New Hampshire at some point. I keep saying to myself, I need to go to New Hampshire and tread more in the footsteps of my family, because That's what the soul does. It treads in the footsteps of your ancestors. So when people talk about, past lives, I don't believe in that. I did believe in that past life, but I don't believe in the past life now because I've been shown something completely different. So I am a process of the souls that have been before me in the human form, but I am still the soul of souls that is connected and knows all that story because we are family. My soul's lineage is a family, and that family starts to show itself. And then that soul's family starts to work through you, so it makes sure it puts you on back on track. It's almost like you sort of come here to finish off what they started in a way. So yeah, big up for New Hampshire. So I was saying it the other day, I would love to go there. And yeah, incredible. Iris, if you believe you can communicate with them telepathically, it's so interesting more and more people are experiencing this now. I think a lot more people are experiencing so much more than we've ever done. Because what you've got to realise is there was a big awakening. It happened on the planet. An energy was sent. There was a frequency that was sent. And so therefore, when we picked up on that energy, we picked up on that frequency, that's what started people to start to look at things in a completely different way. That's when our senses started to awaken. That's when the soul started to awaken. That's why there's been a massive awakening on this planet, and it was literally happening to everyone. You didn't have to be a guru, you didn't have to be spiritual, you didn't have to be religious. It literally was happening to everyone because we were connecting to something that was stronger than what we was used to. And so therefore I now believe that the darkness that are running everything on this planet, they're doing everything that they possibly can to stop us from being them enlightened beings. And that's why there's so much shit going on the planet. It's all to do with distraction, and it's distracting us from the true awakening that was happening, because when we truly awake, this darkness is finished. Right, Zantsu, can you see people's, where's it jumped? Can you see people's energy fields? I don't see them as some people claim to see them. I can sense energy, and you get a feel for energy. So I know people's energy, but I don't see it as an energy. But people have seen mine. So they've been the lucky ones to have seen mine. But I don't physically see people's energy sort of change. But I know their energy, and I feel their energy. I can sense their energy. We work on energy. Sensu, sometimes you see whole air vibrations. Yes, it's all to do with vibrations. Mekish, welcome Mekish, I believe you're new. Do you believe in the evil eye? There's a lot to do with the evil eye. I think that's Middle Eastern way, isn't it? A lot of people used to talk about that. It's almost like turning around and saying, no, I don't believe in the evil eye, but I know there's a lot of cultures out there that do. I lived out in Cyprus for a while, and they used to wear a pendant with a little eye thing in it. I can't remember it now, but it was an eye, and it was to keep away the evil eye. So I can't say too much on that because it's not in my vocabulary. But yeah, so I'm like that. I can't fully answer that. Do you believe in the evil eye? I believe in evil spirit. So whether or not that's saying the same sort of thing. And if you go to a lot of human beings, they've got evil eyes anyway. TH, I do feel like God, light, put me in this darkness. And then sometimes I feel like darkness wants to keep me there, to keep me away from God and the light. It works in conjunction with both. Your soul's journey is embarked on that journey, whether or not God put you there or not, or whatever your interpretation of God is. When you find yourself in that place, you will be screaming for God. You will want to know about God. You want to ask God to kind of help you. But the true message behind that is, it's like everything that you need is within you. The God that you're searching for is within you. So what has gone on, it's not that anyone has kind of put you through it, but the soul has got to the point where it's had enough of the material world. It's allowed you to go and do free will. It's allowed you to go and do whatever it is that you want to do. And then there's that moment that says, stop, I'm not doing this anymore. And it doesn't always come from your element of being a human being, but it comes from a sense of a feeling that is stronger than you as a human being. So you can look at it and you can sort of blame God. And, you know, I suppose I blamed God a lot. God's putting me through this and God's putting me through that. I mean, at the time I didn't even believe in God, but where else do you turn to? And so therefore I was blaming God about this, that and the other. But the more I was looking at it and the more I was trying to understand it, what we came here to do, as I said, was to understand the story. So a lot of that was happening to me because it was a lot of things that I'd gone through that had been built up. Then the soul connects into, right? And what it is that it needs you to heal itself. So it's a split decision. Because once you understand that you are a greater being than you think you are, then you find out that you have this connection. Call it God, call it whatever, call it intelligent consciousness. That's what I call my God, right? Intelligent consciousness. The letter I and the letter C. So I see is my God. So, but once I understand that intelligent consciousness within me, then I can look at that and blame myself for a lot of things that have gone through, believing that I was good in my life, and then realizing it's like, oh shit, not as good as I thought I was, you know. And so therefore you can take a real smack in the face when you start to heal oneself, because now the attention's on you. But once you do start going, it feels like darkness wants to keep you there. It will do that. Darkness will definitely keep you there, but the reason why it is keeping you there is because I see it like this. This is, to me, is the human realm. This is to human realm, darkness realm, what we would say is the God realm, right? As you're awakening and as you're growing, you start connecting into this darkness realm. That darkness realm starts to permeate into you more so because you're actually traveling through that realm of darkness. So think about as a visualization what I've just said there. As your soul is leaving its body when you go asleep, and you can do this anyway, but as you sort of travel out of the body and you start to travel towards what you would say is your God or your fifth dimension or 12th dimension, wherever you want to go with that, or the darkness will always be sitting there. And there will always be a lot of pressure from that darkness. And it seems like that darkness is keeping you trapped. But the darkness is teaching you to get to the light. But if you don't know that the darkness is keeping you away from that, but if you don't know that the darkness is teaching you about the light, then you can't get through that darkness. So the darkness and the light are partnerships. They have to be, because you have to have the both. So I used to say it was hell getting to heaven. And that meant for me that I had to punch my way through not just only my fears, but the fears of the world, it seemed, had come upon me. And therefore, then there was the darkened spirits, there was the horrible spirits, then there was even horrible ancestral spirits as well as. So, but once I got to understand that they wasn't actually stopping me, they were saying to me, you've got to earn your way. You've got to learn this journey, and once you learn this journey, that's it, it's done. It's over and it's finished. So in one sense, you could say when you left the realm of spirit, you actually knew what was going to happen. So you basically put yourself through it. The task was to know that you was going to lose yourself in the darkness, but there was a moment there once you start working with it that you feel that God was going to kind of save you, but you was there, you're here to prove to your God that you're going to save yourself and then work yourself back. So you've got to prove to yourself, you've got to prove to your God that you're going to get through this. God's not really going to help you on that, but you've got to show your God, you've got to show your soul. And that's when you take back your own power from this material world. That was the challenge I had to go through. Right, TH, I do feel like, right, okay. David Smith, yes, it's Portsmouth, New Hampshire, United States. I called you a few years ago and you helped me tremendously. Thank you. Do you know what? Do you know when we spoke, David? I don't know if you heard me. We couldn't have spoken about what I'm telling you now, because I don't think I knew that then. This has all come to light since then. So yes, of course I remember who you are. So wow, okay. So yeah, my story is totally transcended since then. So yeah, there's a big old thing with my family in Hampshire, and I'm sure we didn't speak about it. Right, brilliantly. Okay, excellent. Right, Dino. Anthony Price is a British UK designer. All right, shows how much Trev's lost the plot then, because I used to know them all. That's funny. Anthony Price is a British UK designer. My son, I am, sends his love, Trevor. He asked me to tell you I love you, Trevor. Excellent. Well, is he here in Britain? Because you're in Canada, aren't you, Dino? If I remember right, Anthony Price is a British UK designer. Do you know what? He slipped my mind, or I don't know how old Anthony Price is. I used to get my suits made at, oh God, see, I can't even remember now. It's gone again. All the designer stuff's gone. I worked with Vivian Westwood once. That was cool. She was brilliant. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of designers and a lot of people. But yeah, that memories and that life of me is, wow, it's completely gone. So, right, okay, thanks for that, Tino. Probably is not an Anthony Price. Probably won't be able to afford an Anthony Price now. Right, Chronicles of a Collective Soul. That's an interesting name. Welcome to the show. Hello, Trevor. My name is Caroline Foster, and I have just stumbled across your live video. I have some questions. How do you heal a chronic illness? In the same way as I heal any kind of illness. So it's a hard one for me to say. I've been praying to the universe and God. Right, okay, let me just take that bit out there, right there for the moment. I've been praying to the universe and God. Right, I'm going to say let's forget that, because if it's you that's got, how do you heal a chronic illness? Listen, I had cancer. I was told I had cancer, so how chronic do you want to go? I had a tumour the size of a golf ball in my esophagus, and I never knew I had an esophagus until I went and got it checked out. So now I know I've got an esophagus. I can't even say it now. So, so is that for you or is that for someone else? Because I believe, and it's not just me, the science will back this up. There's a lot of medical people out there that will back up how we can heal ourselves from within. There's tremendous studies that's been doing on it now. You know, you've got people like Bruce Lipton, you've got people like Greg Braden, you've got Joe Dispenza. You know, you're talking about these people with just the normal material beings in their field, right? And then all of a sudden they had their aha moment. They had their awakening. It's like, whoa, hold up here a minute. That's not right. And then they started to discover other things, which basically means what happened is they stepped out of the box of what they were generally told that they should be doing as a medical person, right? And that's happened to anyone. It's happened to a lot of people in a lot of different fields. And so therefore, they started to realise it's been documented. I mean, there's even videos of a patient with a cancerous tumour, and you've got these people that are standing around this patient, and it's live on the screen. It's live as it's happening, I believe, and they're basically chanting that it is healed and it is done. And I think it was a word called wuxia. So there must have been some Chinese or something like that. Greg Braden will talk about it. He's brilliant, Greg Braden. And it was wuxia. And you could literally see it in real time, the cancer disappearing. So it's a tough one. I can't say. You've just sent me a little text, really. So there's only the little, this, how do you heal a chronic illness? There's loads of ways of answers behind that. It's hard for me to say that at this moment, but for me, of trying to understand that chronic illness is what I went through, which I did do, and then I have done it for other people as well as. But whether it's a toothache or a chronic illness, I just do it in the same way as that I always do it, right? And that's just through using the energy. And there's a flow of energy that comes through. So this gets you to question whether or not you can heal yourself or not. And I truly believe that through my personal journey, I knew the words that I was using within my mind was totally affecting me and totally killing me. But when I got that moment about the cancer, that was the moment when I started to really think, well, okay, maybe I'm not going to have much longer to live, right? Because that's the first thing you think, isn't it? And so I thought, well, and I started to apologise to myself immensely. And in that moment, it wasn't so much that I healed the cancer. Well, of course I did. But the body doesn't know it's got cancer because the body doesn't understand what cancer means. It's a medical made-up word, right? And if I got this right, you'll have to look it up. I could be wrong, but apparently it's called cancer because under the microscopic conditions, it's like a crab, like a look it up. I looked it up a long time ago, but and that's why they called it cancer. It's like cancer of the crab. So they're now saying that we can put an illness into ourselves, even if we tend to think that we're gonna get an illness. So they're even saying now that if your parents died of cancer, it doesn't mean to say you're going to die of cancer because it's not genetic. And Bruce Lipton will tell you, you can turn your genes on and off. But the very thought of catching something helps us to catch it. We're going into a whole new world now. We're going into a whole new phase of understanding our own intelligence. So I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there. Right, hello experimental from Connects of Collective Soul. Let me know if you're a healer or you need healing. Dino Salis, yes, I'm in Canada. Right, I thought so. My son, your son, what is that? I see I am. Ian, you're not going to tell me how that's pronounced, is it? Lamb. Forgive my ignorance. Is that an I? That looks like I am to me. My son I am is in his 6th year. Right, okay, brilliant. All right, say hi to him as well for me. Right, Chronicles. Yes, Ramsay Hunt syndrome. I don't know much about that. I'm going to have to look that up at some point of what that actually means. Okay. So I gather someone who first had it then was called Ramsay Hunt. So it's interesting, isn't it? When somebody gets something, we then call it after that person that gets it. And so therefore, we're actually using someone's name. I'll check that up and maybe next time when you're on, I'll see what that is. But I'm not going to say nothing about that because I actually do not know anything about that. Right. Double E is saying, Chronicles of a Collective Soul would face yoga help you. Right, okay. Imogen Rex. Hi, Imogen. I've always wanted to be able to heal. Can I do it with a photo of my granddaughter? She's in Australia. She's 18 this weekend. What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Yes, listen, I can say yes, but why don't you try? Now listen to that. I love this, Imogen. Hopefully I said your name right. Great name, by the way. I've always wanted to be able to heal. How many people have wanted to be able to heal? The way that I see it like this is so many people in pain. It's unreal, isn't it? We truly are a broken species. There's no two ways about it. How did I become a healer? I suppose because of pain. I just couldn't believe the bleeding pain of it all. And I'd never been in pain really at all. But God, when the pain happened, it was just like, oh, geez, I needed somebody to help me out, but just to get me out of pain. I couldn't believe how much pain felt. And I had a busted appendicitis, so I know what pain feels like when your whole body's shutting down. But this emotional stuff and the dark night of the self stuff, it's awful. I would say yes, because I've done, as long as I know the person, right? If I know the person and I know what's going on, there is a way of using energy. So yes, spend time on that. 5 minutes a day, keep your mind on it all the time. She's enjoying it. I say, yeah, I say it's possible. I say it's truly possible. And if you believe it's possible, then let's see if it's possible by you doing it. Just put your energy in, just put your love in, just send it. Don't plead. Nothing gets done with a plead. Don't never plead for anything. You've got to come in from this place of knowing. You know, we so many of us plead, so many of us are desperate for something to happen. When we get rid of them things, it comes from a different space. And that's what it is. And I reckon, if I'm picking up on your energy properly, Rex, you've already got that certain energy in there anyway. So I'd like to say that you have got that kindness sitting in there, at least within you as an essence, that you can be able to do that. So yes, I would say, do you know what? Do it. Try it. Even if you wrote on the back of the photograph, she has been healed, or she is healed. Expect it to have happened, that it's already done and it's happened, right? Try it that way. Let me know how you get on. But never give up. Healing's a funny, it's weird. It's hard to get your head around it. And it's hard for me to get my head around it when I'm doing it. And it's hard for people to get their head around it when it's happening to them, because they're going through some very strange sensations and feelings. And it seems to me that the one that really works well is the ones that really are non-believers. I love working on the non-believer because it seems to be quite instant. And, you know, I've got a brother-in-law. No, he don't swing with any of it. It doesn't go with it. But he had a real chronic cough. He knocked down a chimney without a mask on. All the black soot came down, as you know it does, hit the ground. You've seen it in films, Mary Poppins even. He was covered in the soot. He swallowed, breathed in all the soot and couldn't breathe. So he had to go to hospital. They tried to do this and they tried to do that, and they gave him this medicine. He's even gone private, and he was cough. And as I was standing talking to him, it was one of my family's birthdays. So there was a lot of people. It was about 80 of us, 100 of us there, and the rest of the place was busy. So there must have been about 500 people there. And he was starting to talk to me. How you doing, Trev? What you up to? And that. And he started to cough, and then he said, I've got to go. And put his hand over his mouth. He ran out and came back 5 minutes. I went, wow, what happened? And she said, oh, just I've got this cough. Thought I was going to be sick. He said, I've had it for weeks now. And he said, nobody can shift it. Nothing's touching it. He said, I haven't slept. He said, I can't sleep because I'm just cough. So I said, right. I said, do you want me to heal that? And that's how I say it. Do you want me to heal that? And he looked at me and just gave that little snigger, you know, that doesn't know how to answer that, you know. He knows I've been on TV and he knows I've done a lot of things, but he's very, very much a material person. That's it, right? Nothing more beyond that. And I said, do you want me to heal that? He didn't want to take up the challenge because he felt stupid. So I said, listen, I'll heal that right now for you now. He said, right here, right in this room. I said, here you go. There's a seat. I put my hand on his chest, put my hand on the back. I did what I told you I did, like that. Within 5 minutes, he was a picture. I tell you, it was the best picture I've ever seen on a face. He just got up off that chair and he looked at me and he went, I know that's gone. He said, that's completely gone. And when we went back to the dinner table, he was telling his dad, because I healed his dad many years ago, which shocked him as well. And he was saying to his dad amongst the table, and of course other people was kind of listening, and he was saying, yeah, he just done this and he just done that. And he said within a couple of minutes he went, I knew something had changed. I knew I didn't have that cough anymore. And I just leaned over to him and I went, do you know how crazy you sound? I said, hence why people think healers are crazy, because when you try telling people what's happened, go tell that down a pub to people that you met a guy and you had a cough and he just went like that, ooby dooby dooby, right? And you was healed. You get laughed out. It will be a punchline for a joke. And in actual fact, I do know someone, I did an unbelievable healing, and that was on a stroke, right? And anyway, I done the healing and it was great. And so I said, oh, I bet you're telling people about, you know, you can move now and everything works and everything else like that. She went, I started telling people. And she said, but people thought I was joking. She said, obviously people that I know what's happened. But she said, when I start telling people, they're waiting for a joke punchline. They're waiting for an ending to happen because they think there's a joke. So she said, in the end, she said, I just stopped telling people. She said, because they just laughed at me. They didn't believe me. So I thought, okay, we've got a problem with healing going on. And that's a big problem, isn't it? A shame that you can't even say it. But it's because people can't believe you. That's the problem. Right, okay. I always want to be able to heal. Right, and do that. Yes, do that. My same's name is... I don't know how to pronounce that, I am. Am I saying it right? Just put yes or no, or someone confirm to me. Sorry about that. Chronicles Collective Soul, I do need healing. It's shingles in the ear. Oh, I see, shingles. Yes, shingles in the ear. It could be possible, you know. I do know somebody that had the shingles and what have you. And that's kind of a little bit nasty, that is. Is that what comes from, is it measles or chicken pox or something like that, measles, and it comes back later on in life? Do you know what? You can try that. You can give it the utmost energy. And do you know what I would do? I'll tell you what. Let me, now you've made me go off now. I've left the planet now. Stop. All right. See the difference between Trevor talking and Trevor just going off somewhere else sort of thing. Right. What you need to do, right, sorry. What you need to do is be able to talk to your inner workings, your inner intelligence, your inner selves. Right, and what I want you to do is to imagine the shingles in your ear. We don't have to imagine it, but I want you to sort of get some form of a picture where you can get into the ear. So get some diagrams of an ear, get the diagrams of an inner working of an ear and where you believe that shingles to be, so that you have a visual, because it's good to have a visual, right? And what I want you to do is to use all of your energy, and I want you to use your atoms, I want you to use your blood, I want you to use your white cells and your red cells, and I want you to put all of that energy into there. And what I want you to do is to imagine that it's healing it, it's heating it away, it's taking it away and it's clearing it. I want you in your mind's eye to actually see that it's been cleaned up, it's being cleaned up and it is being released. And I want you to do that every night. When you go to bed, imagine that it's being healed, because I did that with my esophagus, with the cancer. That's what I did. And I saw it like Pac-Man. You know the game Pac-Man? You know that thing that, it's an old game. And it's got these, I don't know what they are, I can't remember it now, but they used to eat these things. And I used to imagine that inside of me was a Pac-Man, and that it could eat the cancer, clean up any disease, and well, let's face it, there are things in there that are doing that. But that's what I used to do as an individual form of visualization. So maybe now we've talked about it, let's see what happens. But yeah, you've got to go into it. You've got to believe that you can use your intention to sort of say, no, do you know what? I can heal this. That's what you've got to say to yourself. Other than that, we just keep looking at things as being, I can't heal this is painful, this hurts me, it's hard, it's this and that. And we use a lot of negativity, right? But when you get to this point where you surrender to it and you tell yourself, do you know what? No, I'm going to heal this. This is my body. It's my body that's working this stuff, and I can be in control of it all. Because when have we ever been in control of our bodies, really? When have we ever communicated to that intelligence? Well, we don't. But beamism, I did. I'd started to listen and speak with that intelligence that knows everything about this body. The human programming doesn't. But if I had a feeling that worked with that intelligence, that's why it's called intelligent consciousness, intelligent communication, body, mind, energy. So I had an intelligent conversation with my body and my mind and my energy, and I used the energy with the intelligence to do something about it. Try that. Thank you so much, Trevor. Right, okay. How long we done? What we done? 10 o'clock, half 8, half 9, 10, hour and a half. All right, we'll start to wind this up in a second. Scenaria. Trevor, do you heal people now? If they come my way now, I do. If it's there, I don't go out my way on offering because do you know this? Do you know what the sad thing is? People don't. There seems to be this stigma that people actually don't want to heal in a very, very, very strange way. I don't know what it is or why that is, but I can offer to people, but they'll deny it. It must just be their belief system. But yeah, if anyone wants to come and visit me, I suppose, let's have a go. Do you offer reading through email? Never done it through email or a website. So no, not tried with that. As I said, I would have to know the person, and I would have to speak to the person, and I would have to have a picture of the person, and then that's the way that I can work with that person. Right, so that's how it would work. Experimental, yes, I do some facial exercises. Okay, all right, go beyond that though. Yes, it's from the chickenpox. Yeah, chickenpox virus. Okay. Right, okay, where are we going? All right, it looks like, Liza, we've got Ghostbusters going on with smiley faces. This live is so helpful. And hopefully all the lives will be helpful, you know, because it's, you know, I'm glad everything's working tonight because, as I said earlier on, it's drove me nuts working out all of this stuff. And tonight I thought I'm starting to struggle with it. It seems like the more you learn about it, and then, I don't know, it's just really difficult to get it all. It's a press this button, press that button. And I went to press the button, I thought, what button? I can't see the button. And then all of a sudden it's come up on the front. It's all different. It's all mad. It's all weird. My healings are easier than working this channel. Right, okay, guys. I think we're going to start to wind this up. I think we've had a good chat about many, many different things. Anything else here before I go? Let's have to. Right. Zanara, yeah, Trevor, do heal people now. As I said, I've come the way. I need to do more healing. I really should be on the road, really. I should really be doing seminars. You know, I've done the psychic stuff. I've done the mediumship stuff. And I think the importance of healing, I think, transcends that now. Because I wanted a message from Spirit, right? We all want a message from Spirit, right? Deep at the core of who we are, we all do. Whether you're religious, you'll want a message from God, or you'll always ask God for something, somewhere. But for me, when I was doing, say, like the mediumship thing, and I was getting in connection with the mums and dads, you know, there was giving me a message, but it kind of wasn't a great message, but of course it was a great message for the people that was receiving it. But for me, I used to think, well, it's not really a brilliant message, is it? If I'm supposed to be talking to Spirit, surely there's more to that than, you know, what's going on. And again, that's where I pushed it through. And of course I pushed through, and that's, you know, the message that I've got is literally for everyone. It's not just for one participant that's sitting in an audience. This message really is for everybody, because it's the message from Spirit that gets us to well, talk about that we're not human beings and that we can transcend that. And once we transcend that, that's where the gifts come in. That's where our energy comes in. That's where our consciousness changes. Everything changes about ourselves. And once you really get used to it, like I've gotten used to it now, it just becomes this natural thing. And so therefore, you know, people talk about love and things like that. But, you know, what I love more is the naturalness of things. And I think once we can get to the point of understanding that energy and healing is a natural occurrence, because the two work in conjunction with each other, once we start to know how to use that and to be able to communicate with that, then things start to happen on a very natural basis. So you never know. I always say this, you don't know until you try. And that was the same for me. I didn't know until I tried. But if I hadn't have tried, I wouldn't have known. I just had the guts, I suppose, to try. And that's what I think has blown me away. So I think everything about healing ourselves, I still believe it's the biggest trick. I think if you want to go back to, you know, the scriptures 2,000 years ago when there was, you know, someone doing these healings, you know, I think what he was saying was, I think, you know, you can all do these healings. I think if you lived in that moment, in that day, you would see that was all possible, because I think that's what it was all about. But I think over the centuries, I think it's all been misled, it's been misguided, and of course, people don't want you healing. It's as simple as that. It's the big thing over it at the moment, because how would the pharmaceutical companies get on if people started healing themselves? Well, they'd be out of business. And that's the fact of it all. So, you know, there's a lot of people been taken off this planet for cures. There's no money in a cure, as they say. Right, this live is so helpful. Hopefully see you next time. It may be tomorrow. I'll let you know. It'll come up as a live. If not, it'll be the following day. But if this works, and I get used to this working, and that looks good, and it doesn't look wrong. And by the way, I didn't know this, because I spent 24 hours trying to get my video to look nice. And I drove myself crazy. I pushed buttons after buttons after buttons with different softwares, with different ideas, different combinations, and everything else. I was looking at the video that I did the other day, and I looked at it and I said, that's rubbish. How on earth is that rubbish, considering I've got new equipment that was donated to me from some very nice people? So what I looked at, and I thought, oh, right, what's that button? And on your YouTube, you got that little cog wheel. Well, if you press it when you're watching a YouTube, press 1080p, because all this stuff that I'm working with in is 1080p. So you need to click that button at 1080p. Whereas when you watch a YouTube, it can be on 320 or 720. So when I was looking at my video and thinking, I can't believe it, I've got all this amazing equipment, I think I'm doing everything right, why does it look so bad? I pressed that and it said 320. And then when I looked up and I pressed 1080p, oh my God, it was like new eyes. So any of yous out there, I've sent it to a few people. I said, do you know about this? And they've said no. So I'm just warning you and letting you know that if you ever see any video that is looking like it's been badly done, no, go into that little cog and you will see that it's not even on the right settings. And apparently YouTube do that on purpose. Right, okay. I wouldn't have had a clue, Trevor. Right, okay, thanks for that, Elemental. Yeah, there's my emails up there. Right, okay, guys, we're going to leave that right there, and hopefully I shall see you very, very soon. Now, I'm going to try and sign off, so you're going to see some very strange faces to me looking all over the place. It's got end broadcast there, so I'm going to see whether or not that actually ends broadcast, because I didn't see that button there yesterday. That button's just turned up all of a sudden. So I'm going to press it, and you lot can let me know whether or not I've done. But if you got any more questions, it's always going to be back questions and answers, and I'm going to do my best to chat and talk about experiences, especially healing, body, mind and energy, and especially about believing in oneself, which is be meism, to believe in oneself. Other than that, I'm being me. I allow you to be you. And on that note, I'll see you on the other side. Take care.